Okay, so hi, welcome to Lian's Corner, and this is Season 6 who is sitting across from me today. So, first of all, could you please introduce a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Prakyath. I am currently 19 years old. Over the past few years, I've got this bug of entrepreneurship. I've tried out a bunch of ventures. Most of them haven't worked out. Some of them have worked out quite well. Still in that exploration phase. I'm also into a bit of finance and preparing for the CFA. And right now, I'm currently studying at a business school where our entire curriculum is built around trying entrepreneurship and different ventures. They just help along with that. And it's been a fun ride.
Okay, that's amazing. So, for now, we are moving on to session one, the moment everything changed. So, looking back, what is a moment when you realized you wanted to build something of your own instead of having someone else build theirs?
Yes, I would credit this to one internship that I was working on. I was working for this agency. It was a social media marketing agency, and they were handling a bunch of clients, right? And I got to know about the processes that they were working with, and the money that there is, the kind of work there is, the skin that you get in the game. And when you compare that with employment, as someone who enjoys a lot of ownership, I felt like starting off with something of my own versus employment, they're completely two different routes. My journey wasn't really linear as such. It wasn't like, okay, I have an idea, let's get started off. It was really about trying a bunch of ideas. And then, yeah, so basically that was the entire way about where I thought, okay, entrepreneurship is something that I should try out instead of employment.
Okay, that's good. So, Lily, do you have any questions? Hey, Lily, can you hear me?
You can ask for me because my connection is not good.
Okay. So another question is like, was there a point where staying in your comfort zone felt riskier than taking the leap?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Okay. Was there a point where staying in your comfort zone felt riskier than taking the leap?
Yes, I think I've done a bunch of internships, and staying at those internships, right? It's definitely a safer option. You get your regular payments, stipends. You also have a fixed responsibility that you can complete and get done with your day. But then there's no exponential growth that is happening, right? You need to be chasing asymmetrical returns. Then staying at your comfort zone, that doesn't really make sense. Um, After about 3 or 4 months of internships at different places, I felt like, okay, I think I really need to start off with something. And yeah, just staying in your comfort zone for too long, it always feels risky. So again, doing it without any experience, without any internships, without working at startups, that really takes down your chances of winning. But again, it's not just about the comfort zone, right? It's about how much responsibility that you want to take up. And that's where I felt like, okay, staying there for too long, even after learning about the processes, you don't get about growing too much. So that's where I felt like, okay, if I need to grow, I need to step out.
Okay, that's amazing. So another question is like, I I know that your first start didn't pan out, but instead of stepping away from entrepreneurship, you went on to build an AI native marketing consulting agencies. So what made you want to try again?
The founder of our business school, he keeps saying that you need to fail about 9 times before you succeed at the 10th time, right? So entrepreneurship for me at least, it isn't like a 1 or 2 time thing that, okay, you try 1 or 2 times, it works out. Many of them try about 99 different things, but before the 100th one, ends up working out. I was always clear that right now, because I'm a student, my entrepreneurship, the opportunity cost that comes along with it is quite low. Even if I fail, there's failing is a good thing right now. But few years down the lane, I can't say the same thing. So it was really about, trying out multiple things. And after the first two or three ventures didn't work out, it just made me um, approach any idea that I come up with in a much more better way. And at the same time, I felt like AI native marketing consulting was something that I could really look forward to because, um, you know, there's that real gap between where AI can come in and help local businesses. Local businesses aren't still aware about the power and capability that AI brings in. And as someone who's seen both sides, the local businesses part plus the AI power, right? I felt like, okay, I could bridge this gap. And that's why I started out with the marketing consulting agency.
Okay, so similarly, you are very passionate, yeah, about starting your own business. Okay, so for now we are moving on to another session, the reality check. So before you
Mhm.
started your business, what did you think life as a business owner would be like?
I thought it'll give me a lot of freedom, financials, and it really didn't turn out like that. Entrepreneurship isn't as rosy as a path that it has seemed to be, right? Um, it's really a lot of responsibility that comes in when you're working, in terms of employment. The problems end at the office, but when you're into entrepreneurship, the problems follow you home as well. So it isn't like you have fixed timings. It isn't as rosy as it is, projected. But yeah, it comes with its perks. You get a lot of freedom. You get that flexibility about when you can work, where you can work from, all of these things. But then again, it has its cons as well.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so Lily, it's your turn.
Okay, so what was the biggest surprise after you became your own boss?
What was the biggest?
Biggest surprise after
Biggest
you
surprise.
became your own boss?
The biggest surprise after becoming your own boss is that you understand how difficult it is to be someone's boss. Uh, all my managers that I had in my previous workplaces, right? I never really understood the value that they bring in, how much responsibility is on their heads. But after becoming your own boss, it's really a very important thing when you're working with interns, when you're your first few hires, all these people. There's a lot of responsibility about training them. You need to help them with a few things. It's not like everything comes on a ready platter. Yeah, it's not definitely not as easy as I thought. So really leading people, that was a bit of a surprise for me.
Okay, so in your opinion, what skills are most important for a business owner?
I think it's more about resilience and being as close to the market as possible. Resilience because entrepreneurship is quite a risky path and you need to keep trying to succeed, right? And you can't really give up after one or two tries. There have been instances where clients end up ghosting us, they don't respond to our texts, they don't take meetings when they promise to. All these things happen. But if you take it personally to your ego and say, okay, this is not working out and just drop out, it doesn't work that way. If you really need to be as resilient as you can. And obviously, the second point that's a lot more important about staying close to the market. You can do a lot of research on ChatGPT, Claude, all these AI LLMs, but then the real progress happens when you go out, talk to your first few customers on ground. That gives you more knowledge than sitting in front of a computer because then you're just estimating numbers, you're just estimating the reaction of customers. But when you actually go out and talk to people, that is when you understand, okay, if you validated the actual problem, are your solutions good enough? Is this an actual startup worth building, or is it not? So all of these, yeah, basically staying as close to the market as possible, talking to your customers, that's underrated.
Yeah, that's a great point that we have heard. Okay, so another section is about money, stress, and risk. So,
Mhm.
what was your relationship with money like when you first started?
You mean before starting out on my business, right?
Yes.
Okay. Before starting out on the business part, the startups, I felt like money is quite an easy thing to earn. Like it's a second order effect. It just happens naturally if you're working. But then once you start working, you really understand how difficult it is to get a dollar out of someone's hands, right? They've worked hard for it. So if we need their dollar into our pockets, there's a lot of value creation that needs to happen from our end. It isn't as easy to get someone to pay you, be it clients or anyone, right? Um, so yes, I initially thought that it'd be easy. You just work and you get paid for it. But then you, after getting into the business, you actually understand how much of an effort it takes, how much value you need to promise, how much you need to actually deliver, how you need to make them feel before they actually end up paying you. So that was something that I realized quite late.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Lily, it's your turn.
Okay, so have you ever had a month where you were seriously worried about money?
Yes, I mean in the agency part at least it's quite common. I feel because the payment cycles end up getting delayed quite a lot, right? Clients don't pay you on time. You can send reminders, but then those things happen, right? In terms of your accounting, a 30-day cycle can be pushed to 45 days. So that 15-day, that'll be quite of a stretch. Um, because our agency is quite new and we haven't really been in the market for a lot of years, I haven't faced this problem at a very serious level. But yeah, there have been few instances of this happening where cash is pretty tight, and many times our reserves have ended up being zero if our payment cycles end up getting extended. But again, it's really about having set processes with the client so that these problems don't happen. All of these things I've started to realize only now. Uh, but yeah, starting out with strict rules at the beginning, that makes it a lot more easier.
Yeah. So, according to you, what's more stressful, earning money or keeping the business running?
I think keeping the business running is a lot more stressful because 9 out of 10 things don't work like you've planned, right? There are a lot of sudden surprises. And again, I come back to the point of resilience. It's just about staying in the business for that long and trying out different things. And eventually it works out. But then again, um, continuing the business is the main challenge, at least for the initial 0 to 1 phase where things aren't working out. You have every reason to believe that you need to shut down this business. Then again, you need to believe that whatever idea that you validated, whatever problem that you validated, you have that passion for solving it and doing it for long enough with the right mindset. I think it should lead to success.
That's amazing. So, I was curious about was there a mistake or failure in your entrepreneurial journey that ended up teaching you something really valuable?
I think every day there's a lesson to be learned. There have been a lot of mistakes that I've made. I can't count it down to one or two. There have been many mistakes. I can't count. There have been plethora of mistakes. All of these things just make you handle your next few ventures in a much more mature fashion. Whatever I'm building right now, it isn't my first venture. It won't be my last either. So, if I have to point it, do you want me to point it down to one specific instance? Okay. There was one instance where, I built an amazing deck with Claude, perfect designs, perfect numbers, all of these things. But then I go in front of the investor. I realize he's not even interested in the deck. The only thing he's really interested is my business model and if I'm actually resilient and passionate enough to do this, right? You can build the most beautiful deck with the most amazing numbers. I see a lot of young founders, including me. We talk about TAM, SAM, SOM, all of these huge numbers, right? You talk about your total addressable market is about $2 billion dollars, and then bring it down to 1% to about 200 million. These things look good on paper, but then an actual investor who really understands this market, he won't really be interested about the numbers when you're building 0 to 1. The only thing he's going to ask you is how are you going to crack different problems. So that really brings it down to how many problems you've validated, how many customers you've talked to, are you close enough to the market, these kinds of things, right? So yeah, again, building out fancy decks, doing a lot of AI research work, all of these things help, but they should supplement your primary research, which is about staying on ground.
Okay, so now we're moving on to another session, a day in the life of a business owner. So, yeah, Lily, yeah, your first questions.
So, what's something you can do now that you couldn't do when working for someone else?
Right now, the only thing that I get with entrepreneurship is a lot more flexibility. I can choose my working hours, and yeah, that's the main difference.
Okay, so in a busy day of a business owner, so how do you manage your time, daily tasks, or daily activities into a balanced life?
Right. This is something I haven't figured out yet. I don't see myself figuring it out anytime soon because there are a lot of activities that I'm taking part in it. The business comes, and since I'm still a student, I obviously have my studies as well. Some days you really get burnt out trying to balance between a lot of things. But for me, at least, the only thing that has worked is staying in the moment. If I'm working on the business, I just focus on it. I don't think about my upcoming exams, my tests. I'm giving my CFA exams in a few months. So that has been taking quite a lot of time as well. But again, just staying in the moment, not worrying too much, just that belief that, okay, if
Okay.
things go south, you just need to work hard.
Okay, that's amazing. So, what's a responsibility that comes with being your own boss that most people don't see?
The responsibility is towards yourself and towards the problem that you've decided to solve. There's no external responsibility as such, but if you're working somewhere, then you're responsible for your work and you're answerable to someone else, right? But here, nobody is questioning you if you're your own boss. So it's just about answering yourself, keeping up that level of work, and then obviously whatever there'll be some reason that you decide to enter into the business, right? So it's making sure that you solve that actual problem and you're responsible to your customers, your investors, all of these people.
Yeah, that's thank you. So, Lily, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Yeah, so people often associate entrepreneurship with freedom. Has that been true for you?
Yes, it definitely has been true for me. But you really need to define freedom about what you're talking about in terms of time, or responsibilities, because employment wise, yeah, you can do a 9 to 5 and then you can get done with it. There are these fixed timings, but in entrepreneurship, there's no fixed timing. That is the biggest benefit. But again, that comes with its pros and cons. But it's a good thing having that freedom, that flexibility that comes along with it. Some days, if you don't feel like working, or if something comes up in the morning, then you can postpone your work just later in the night as well. Because there's no fixed timing and no fixed workplace. That really makes you a lot more efficient, I feel. And yeah, that the freedom part is definitely true.
Okay, so that's wonderful. So yeah, and for now we are moving on to the final session. The big question of today's episode, was it worth it? So if you could go back and talk to yourself on day one, so what advice would you give them?
Can you repeat the last part of the question?
Okay, so if you could go back and talk to yourself on day one, what advice would you give to yourself?
If I could go back a few months down the lane and talk to myself about it, advice wise, I think the most underrated skill that you can have is not let anything affect your mood, right? Anything that happens some days won't go well with clients in terms of results that you were planning to achieve. But then I struggled a lot with it initially about, taking everything to my ego personally. And, that just really ruins your mood, your entire productivity. So I'd really advise myself that, okay, whatever happens, that happened. And then the next second, you need to start working again, being unaffected about it. That is really underrated. And I think it can do wonders when you're in the right mood 24 hours.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, what's one lesson from your entrepreneurship that everyone can apply to life?
Think many of them feel like, okay, they need to have an idea to get started out. That hasn't been true for me. I didn't really start out with an idea. You just figure it out along the way. You just really be on the ground. Just go to your nearest market. You identify some gap and get started along with it. I don't consider myself very successful in entrepreneurship, and it should be that way, I think, because it's just about trying a bunch of different things, and then one of it works out really well, comes out to the same point again and again. But yeah, just don't wait for any idea. It's just about solving the problem more than getting the idea. Many of them focus on the solution part when there's no problem existent.
Okay, thank you for a wonderful viewpoint. So, yeah, Lily, your
Yeah.
questions.
Okay. So if you woke up tomorrow without money, but
Mhm.
on your experience, what would you do first?
With the money, let's
Without
say
money.
hypothetically about $1 million and the experiences that I've carried right now, I feel like I'd start something in the education business, because education has always been one of my main passions. The Indian education system lacks two things: education and a system. Arguable, debatable, but then I feel like there are a lot of gaps that needs to be addressed in terms of financial literacy, the AI part of it, where you need to really make them digitally literate. So I feel like there's a massive gap over there, and I'm working on something along those lines. So I really think that the $1 million that I get, I'd invest a lot of it into building something in the education space.
So, what do you hope your journey inspires other people to do?
Um, just about trying out as many things as early as possible. Don't fixate on one or two things. Explore a lot of things, and you'll find something along the way. Don't just wait for the right moment. Just get started off as soon as you can. that'll be the single best thing that you can do for yourself.
Okay, so before ending the episode today, what advice would you give to young people who want to start their own business, but they have first faced many obstacles? Yeah.
Right. There are a lot of obstacles that people can think of before starting their business. People might think that, okay, I need a lot of capital, I need investment, I need time, I need an idea, all of these things. But it isn't true, right? Many of them think they can build billion-dollar businesses, but then just get started out. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You don't need a lot of money, honestly. Your personal savings, if you're in a position to use it, just like the initial $100-$200 is also quite enough to get started out, and then you can always raise. I haven't really understood the reason of, okay, I need a lot of money. You're not opening a factory right now. Just to get started off with problem validation and your first 100 customers, you don't really require a lot of investment. Just get started out as soon as possible, and it's the same advice.
Okay, that's amazing. So thank you so much for joining our episode today, and your insight, your story have added truly something special into our talk show today. Thank you so much for having time with us today. Yeah.
Thank you. I had fun being here.
Yeah. Okay. So I will.
Thank you so much.